Welcome to the Low Carb MD podcast. No one is beyond help. No one is beyond hope. Nothing said on the Low Carb MD podcast is medical advice. Please consult your own doctor before making any lifestyle changes.
Hello and welcome back to the Low Carb MD podcast. Tro, good to see you. We're going to be on a boat together pretty soon with the Low Carb Cruise. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to this cruise every year. Hopefully, we make it a staple. And this was your vision 6 years ago, Brian, or 7 years ago. So, where we get out and sort of spread metabolic health everywhere. So, kudos to you. Super excited about our guest today. Just an amazing story about resilience and about perseverance. Somebody who's overcome autoimmune disease, surgeries, joint issues while being a mom of three, and now being a health coach. So super excited to have Beatrice here. I met her twice at SMHP conferences and super excited to just hear her story. Her story was also on another Carnivore podcast, but you'll get to hear it here. So I'm super excited. Thank you, Beatrice, for coming on.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm very excited to be here, Dr. Cho.
Why don't you get started? Maybe just tell people a little bit about you. And I know a little bit about your story, and I know how inspirational it's going to be for people out there with autoimmune disease, rheumatoid arthritis. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen patients in the middle of pregnancy develop these symptoms. They don't know where it came from, and it turns out they have Hashimoto's or an autoimmune disease or something new. And oftentimes it goes undiagnosed for a little bit. It's just told to be postpartum depression, and then ultimately they get a diagnosis, but very few make the kind of recovery that you made. And I want people to hear that. I want people to hear, what you went through, because you probably don't want to relive some of those moments. And then, the surgeries you went through, and then ultimately, how you found health. So I maybe we could start all the way in the beginning.
All right. Well, I'm Beatrice. I'm 20. I have struggled with rheumatoid arthritis since I was 23 and hypothyroidism. As you said right now, my hypothyroidism was diagnosed as Hashimoto, and it was after my born. But before that, I had my right knee got inflamed a lot. So I had four scopes, and then a knee replacement. And then I have my knee replacement for my left leg too. I was diagnosed first with monoarthritis, and after my first son was born, during pregnancies, I was perfect. But after I gave birth, like 15 days afterwards, that happened to me. Like postpartum depression, I couldn't lose weight. I was diagnosed with Hashimoto, and then another joint got inflamed, and that happened with my other kids. I have three. And during flares, they were getting worse and worse as years went by. And I got to walk with crutches. I used scooters when I went, like, for example, to Disneyland with my kids. I was not a normal mom. I couldn't comb my hair or brush my teeth without pain. When I went up to the restrooms at night, it was a nightmare. It was like 1 hour to get to the restroom and then 1 hour to get back to bed, because it was like really, I struggle a lot to walk and to even get up from bed. And I used to go to the doctor to get my synovial fluid removed. I got several diagnoses. They told me I had monoarthritis, then that I have nodular synovitis, that I had spondylosis ankylosant. And really, I felt abused during those years, because like I didn't have an answer. I tried everything. I was over-medicated for everything, for depression, for anxiety, for thyroid, for panic attacks. I also had panic attacks, and I ended in the hospital several times, because every time I read my diagnosis, like synovial binodular synovitis, a lot of people ended up dead. So like receiving those diagnoses and then finding out that they weren't, that I didn't have that. But in the meantime, I thought I had it. So it was very emotional, frustrating, and it was like a waves of emotions and stress all those years, until I finally found health. And that's why I became a health coach, because I know what it is to be between so many opinions of doctors, and you see that medication doesn't give your health back. It helps. At the beginning it helped, but then I was taking everything: methotrexate, hydroxychloroquine, sulfasalazine, prednisone, cortisone, shots, everything. It didn't work.
Wow. So let me make sure I understand this. So before your pregnancy, the first pregnancy, you were healthy, everything was good, no joint pains, nothing, no problems with weight, anything like that?
Just one joint, and it was okay because I could handle it. I was 23 and I took sulfasalazine. Before that, sulfasalazine, it just got inflamed and I ignored it. It was not that big deal for me.
And with each pregnancy, did your symptoms get better during the pregnancy, and then after they came back again? And just one other question along those lines is, did you have C-section or vaginal births for your kids?
Vaginal, and for the second and the third were C-sections.
So here you are in your 20s, normal upbringing, normal life, like you feel, and then these pregnancies happen and your life is switched. Like life is switched. And I'm just like putting it in my mind, Brian, and I know you're thinking the same thing I am. The first thing when I heard the first part of your story, Beatrice, I'm thinking of Michaela Peterson having two different surgeries. Like, Brian, how many times have you seen somebody under the age of 30 have two joint replacements?
Yeah, I mean, I have a cousin who had just a congenital problem that had to get two hip replacements in her late 20s, early 30s, but very atypical. That's why I'm curious about your story too, is that, just another thing, you don't have to say what it is, but did you have any traumas before, like your pregnancy, like major life stress, financial problems, marital stuff, or anything like that before the onset of these symptoms?
The biggest onset of my symptoms and afterwards at my knee replacements was, the death of my little cousin and a friend and my grandpa. And I'm the first granddaughter. So it was, emotionally, it was a lot of stress. And I started to find my health, this metabolic health back and everything. I also, half of my healing was because I addressed my fears and my toxic relationships. And you start is weird because you start to feel alone. You start to leave people, and then to face your fears. I was really afraid of death, and I was like, why my friend she was 40, she got cancer and she's gone 5 months later. So I knew I have something inside me and I could be next. You see, so I was like living in fear flight.
Yeah, and the reason I asked that question is that I see that at least 90% of the time, Tro, you probably see the same, that major life stress trauma, it could have been a surgery. It could be like getting a C-section, or going through vaginal birth. But having major life stress is a huge precursor to autoimmune disease, and a lot of it comes back to the gut, inflammation, decreased blood flow to the gut. There's tons of situations like that. And so that's why it's so amazing when you change your lifestyle and you get better. It just tells us there's a lot that we just don't understand on these autoimmune type conditions.
When I was 23, because I say was 20. One day I woke up, I was in a trip with my friends, and my knee got really big. It popped like when you're pregnant and your water breaks, like that. My knee popped, and then boom, it was like a soccer ball. And then that's why I went every now and then to remove my synovial fluid, but I knew that it was not normal and I didn't have an answer. So they told me meniscus, I don't know what, but through all the years, before my knee replacement, I went to remove my synovial fluid from knees and elbows, and I knew it was not normal. I was stressed. Maybe I didn't say it, but I knew I had something wrong with me, and I didn't have answers. So yeah.
And it sounds like nothing helped, like steroid injections, hydroxychloroquine, all these things. Nothing really made a huge difference.
They did at the beginning, and maybe when I got a shot of cortisone, maybe it was for 5 days, 1 week, or maybe more before. But afterwards, it didn't work. My biggest dose of cortisone was, I think, like 30 or 40 milligrams of cortisone, and I was in crutches. Did its job.
So what happened? Tell us your journey. So what happened? Where do you think about going carnivore after all this? Like, and what was your diet like during that time when you never really had to worry about weight? It sounds like, so you could eat whatever you wanted, right?
It really bad. I think I had insulin resistance since I was a kid, because I was thinking about that. Well, in the story of because we eat a lot, and when I did my certification on keto and fasting and everything, I saw like Dr. Berg says, like, we have to eat 30 grams or less. And I used to eat, I don't know, 700 grams of carbs when I was a kid, sugar. I was aware of the importance of everything you put on your mouth. Or I thought that I have to eat very like snacks for the metabolism to activate. Or I did also diets with just a chicken breast with no fat and maybe lemon juice and cucumber. All those things that make it's all wrong. So I used to take pills for lose weight too. Those pills that give you palpitations. And I did a lot of things that I shouldn't have done, that I didn't knew. And after I became vegan. I did juicing. I bought all those books from this guy who is like a healer. I don't remember what his medical medium. And he has these blends of blueberries, wild blueberries. I try everything. And until I get to keto, I saw this documentary on Netflix of the magic pill that talks about kids with autism that do really well. And I was like, maybe it can do something for me. Try it. And I went to the dietitian, and she told me, you know what, for rheumatoid arthritis, there's no scientific evidence. I don't think it's going to work, but give it a try. And I found a health coach who told me, go keto. And I started like that, but that was just after my 2 knee replacements, not too long for keto. And I started to feel better. Then, do you know what I did? I did ice baths. I was with a therapist doing this thing of healing my childhood traumas and stuff. And I started CrossFit because after my 2nd knee replacement, in that CrossFit, there was a therapist there, a physiotherapist, and he told me, I'm going to help you with from your 2nd knee replacement, and then you're going to go with a coach here. And I started doing that, everything at the same time, and I started to get better and better and better. I went to CrossFit even though I couldn't move. They went for me to my car, and they take me by the hand, or they help me walk. That's how I arrived to CrossFit. And I went daily because that was my out talking to people. Like, people see me, I think they saw me like I was really in bad shape and health, but they treated me good. So I was happy to go there. And I started I couldn't jump, I couldn't walk straight, I couldn't do anything. And now I participate in the CrossFit competitions and stuff. And I think that the key was I did everything. And I also did fasting. I started, we did a 5-day fast. I still did the ice baths, the CrossFit, the keto, but I'm going to tell you something. I was really good. I started to prescribe myself. I then months after that, I started running. It was very quick, the difference in my health. But I did still have inflammation in my joints, but I was so thankful. Like I was deprescribing and I was like much better, that I didn't pay attention to that. And I started eating keto, and I eat everything. I eat almond butter, I ate almond milk, I ate peanut butter, I ate keto goodies, I ate everything. With my fasting, with my training, with everything, but I ate everything. And one day I was lifting, like doing my power cleans and stuff, and I couldn't do this the way it has to be, because I was lifting more heavy. And I was like, why I still got inflammation if I'm fine? And that was because I was doing my health coach certification in IIN. They told me that eat the rainbow, eat seasonally. And so it was October, November. I love squash and everything that like similar to squash. Started to do this, eat the rainbow stuff, a lot of salads, a lot of veggies. And I realized that, for example, peppers got me inflamed, but I said, okay, they're peppers, they're veggies, they're good for me. It doesn't matter. So I did all that. And in 2024, I had another flare, a big one. In my back, I couldn't lift the way I was lifting. I got my C-reactive and my erythrocyte sedimentation rate really high, like in the beginning. And that's when I started to search again, because I knew there was an answer. I was not that afraid anymore. I need to do something else. And I don't know how I got Ketovore and then Carnivore. I bought Sean Baker's book, started Carnivore, but I wanted a doctor to guide me. I didn't want a book to guide me. So I saw Carb Addiction doc who was with Ruben.
Rob Sivis.
Ruben Ancona. He goes to all the low carb, San Diego and everything. And he helped me with my blood test because I was really afraid of cholesterol.
Oh, by the way, where are you located?
In Hermosillo, Mexico.
All right. Yeah. So Ruben. Oh, awesome. Yeah. Okay, good. Sorry.
Well, I found Ruben, and finally, because I thought that US doctors were like very busy and I don't know. And he told me that we're going to do this Carnivore. And I knew that I should not be afraid, but it's a thing that we have here, that fat is bad and that high cholesterol is bad. So I started with him, and in 3 months, my blood tests were fine. But you know what? My insulin was high again when I had that flare. It was insulin back high, just with veggies and squashes. And that was not good for me. And then I found Michaela Peterson. I heard her story, and I said, that's me. And it's very similar. And that's why I have to go strict in the way I'm feeding myself. So I started doing a Ketovore, then Carnivore, and then Ruben told me, why you don't? And I'm doing it, and I'm very happy, but it was like difficult for me, for example, to give up on dairy. I love dairy. And when I gave up on dairy, I have some skin rashes, they were gone. And now I have like 3 months without any inflammation, and I'm really doing very good.
Have they checked your insulin again since you've been carnivore?
Yeah, I'm in 3.6.
Yeah, so that's come way down.
Yeah.
Crazy. I think, not everybody can eat everything, right? I think this is the beauty of elimination diets. You can really sometimes figure out, it's difficult to figure out, there's some testing, MRT testing and allergy testing, but it can be really challenging to figure out what doesn't work with you. But I think carnivore is the best elimination diet. And dairy is a trigger for a lot of people. Dairy is a trigger. Nightshades happen to be a trigger. Shellfish in some people. How quickly
and Tro, you can have a cross reactivity too. I see that with people with gluten sensitivity. Dairy can mess them up. Like the casein can cross react with the gluten. You can get gut inflammation, leaky gut, all those kind of things. So that's just something else to consider. I've seen a lot of people now, their eczema goes away and their asthma goes away if they cut out dairy. In certain people, it's not everyone, but certain people, it does make a huge difference, especially if they're gluten sensitive.
I had asthma when I was a kid, and now it's.
I got to ask you because it's going to bug me because I do a lot of work down in Mexico and Guatemala, El Salvador. And so parasites are a huge thing down there. Do they ever treat you? Were you getting like treatments for parasites or anything during this whole process? No. Because I'd be very curious to see if you ever if you get tested and see if that's because I see that a lot in some of these remote villages I go to. I see and this is interesting. I see people with vitiligo. I saw like 12 people in one day with vitiligo where they're losing skin pigment. I was like, how can that possibly be? They're out in the middle of nowhere. And it turns out if you have a parasite, you're way more likely to get vitiligo. It's an autoimmune condition that affects the skin. So we treat their parasite and see what happens. So I'll be curious to see next year when I go back if there's any improvement in those kind of things. It's something we don't think about because we don't see it here in the US very often.
I started to take ivermectin because I have been reading about it, and I take ivermectin like like 2 pills a day, just for like a few weeks. But I do that by myself. Like nobody tells me what to do. And in all those doctors I have seen, because there were a lot, no one addressed nutrition, or maybe you take out gluten. The only thing they told me was you can do the Mediterranean diet. But like, if they give you permission to do a Mediterranean diet and it includes bread, well, you include everything. Like, when I have someone like a client, a patient who has an autoimmune disorder, the first thing I make very nutrition. Like you have to be very specifically with those people, because I needed that someone tell me, please don't eat gluten, but as if you were a celiac, no gluten, zero. And I was not that educated for and it's that simple. Just do it and you'll find health. But no, like nobody told me that. And well, it was a really long journey. I lost my niece because I didn't address it the correct way before.
Yeah, I think if you ask most, I know, Brian, we rag on docs a lot, but they've never seen nutritional or lifestyle interventions. One, they've never seen disease reversal. I mean, gosh, David Unwin was about to quit. He was about to quit. He was about to retire. And they didn't teach that to me in medical school. And Brian, I have the opportunity now to work with some residents who are bringing metabolic health into their clinic. And I just had a resident yesterday. Okay, get this, guys. Beatrice, you're going to love this. His patients are coming off diabetes medications, losing weight, fatty liver reversing, and he's spending time with them. And his residency program interviewed him and said, well, we just want to give you feedback that that's not realistic. You can't spend time with your patients. We have to prepare you for the real world. And gosh, he was so, that's the real world, Beatrice, what you were exposed to. Docs who couldn't care less, or maybe they cared, but they had no help. No.
Well, and Tro, just to jump in here, the frustrating thing about that, I've had residents flow through with me too, and they saw stuff. They're like, "Oh my gosh, you're taking weight meds. You're doing like their sugars. Like this is crazy." When they start talking to the patients, and what they're telling them in the system, the same thing as what you're saying is like, "Well, you don't have time to spend all that time with a patient. This isn't the real world. So just throw drugs at them and get them out the door." It's like insane to me, right? Like, what have we done? Someone like Beatrice, you go, "Oh, take steroids because that will decrease inflammation." Why do you have the inflammation? They don't ask that question.
and not, I was like, I'm thinking like, why my gynecologist don't told me, because I him when my knees were this big after my babies, and he didn't tell me that's not normal. Maybe you have something autoimmune disease or something. Why the pediatrician who saw me that I was walking like the Hunchback of Notre Dame told me that, why you don't go? I don't know. I saw a lot of doctors. Nobody told me nothing, and maybe they don't know, but well, I don't take this path, but you are that bad, like I couldn't walk the stairs down in my house just once. And I saw how this disease was consuming me and I was going to die. When the doctor told me to take Humira, he told me, you know what, from this point, maybe you'll be attacked by an organ or something, or it can progress and there's no way back. So I've heard Dr. Tro talk with Dr. Bowden in a podcast about hydroxychloroquine. And that's when I realized that maybe I'm in not good hands, because I was taking hydroxychloroquine during the pandemic, and I was taking 8 pills of methotrexate, and I was taking cortisone, and I got COVID, and I didn't even got to bed. I thought it was an allergy. I took Benadryl, and that was it. And after a month, I was like, I didn't taste and I didn't smell those days, and I took my antibodies, and they were really high. And I got with my immunologist, and you got COVID. And I was taking that hydroxychloroquine, and I was in peace because I heard Dr. Simon Gold and Trump said that medicine was for COVID. So as I was immunosuppressed, I was really bad with arthritis. I was like peace because I was taking that, and I got it, and I didn't even take one siesta, or I didn't take a nap. I was really good. And
yes, you went through it with no problems. You're on hydroxychloroquine. Yes, I hear this all the time. Tro's friends came on and said that's not true, but I practice clinical medicine, not research.
We have to learn from each other, right? We have to be the ones that, here's the thing. If they're going to be closed-minded, we have to be open-minded. We have to challenge ourselves. Otherwise, nobody else will, Brian.
Oh, I'm going to challenge you, Tro. We're going to have fun on the cruise. I'm going to force you to come to my talk because I'm going to brainwash you. I have the data, and I'm telling you, Beatriz, your story, when I'm listening, I go, gut microbiome, leaky gut microbiome. Because when you get leaky gut, panic attacks, stress, everything you experience was coming from your gut. You go carnivore, it knocked out a lot of the bad microbiome that was there. They starved them out short term. I'm not sure if long term. Tro and I've had this discussion. He thinks it's pseudoscience, but I'm telling you, the gut microbiome is going to play a huge role. I know. What did you call it? Like one of my patients who's a carnivore said, Tro was like, what were you saying? You said it's like half truths. Like, what the heck is a half truth? They did it works or it doesn't. It doesn't. You try it on your see. Like with Beatriz, I love your story because you bring so many of these things, early childhood trauma, stress, all those things affect our gut microbiome. Tro, this is really interesting. I didn't know this until recently when I was doing research, so I can give this talk, and because I know you're going to probably ask me questions afterwards. But guess what? When you go through menopause, your whole gut microbiome changes. You get pregnant, your gut microbiome changes. You go through puberty, your gut microbiome changes. Your hormones drop off. You start estrogen, progesterone, your gut microbiome changes. We have clear data on this. So when you see that,
you sneeze, your gut microbiome changes. You have a Fruit Loop, gut microbiome. Your water changes, your gut microbiome changes. You happen to inhale.
But the thing is, why is it like you see that during pregnancy, you knock your immune system down? This autoimmune stuff gets better we know this, Tro. Lupus, all these things get better during pregnancy. A lot of people with asthma don't have to take inhalers during pregnancy. And so you say, well, where's that coming from? Where's that inflammatory response coming from? And if you're losing your gut microbiome, and really most important, I'll tell you, is the mucus layer of your colon. If you lose those guys, you're in trouble. So how do we replenish those things? Guess what? The ketogenic diet helps. The ketones help the mucus layer of the colon, helps change the gut microbiome. So maybe some of the things we're seeing, Tro, is not just from insulin and it's these guys all give off metabolites, all these things that affect our brain. Think about this. Like they say 90% of your serotonin and dopamine comes from your gut. Where does it come from your gut? Your gut cells? No, microbiome. If you lose your microbiome that makes those things, now you need SSRIs and all these things to get your mood better and control the anxiety. Once you fix your gut lining and then all the anxiety and panic attacks go away, which is what I'm seeing clinically, it's exciting because you don't need Xanax anymore, right? And so parasites, all these things affect it. And I'll show you pictures of what happened to me when I had my parasite from Guatemala. It's amazing how your body responds. And so Beatriz, what you're doing is so amazing. And the thing I love too about your story is that you go, okay, this isn't working. I'll try veganism. I'll try juicing. I'll try this until I get the results, instead of saying, well, it didn't work, so I'm just giving up.
That's what when I saw that about the magic pill and all these doctors, I said, I'm gonna fight it by myself. I had to do something. And you know what? I always trusted that my body was not born like that, and I got the answers. Thank God. In this journey. And I was wanna ask you, have you read the book When the Body Says No?
Absolutely, yes.
It's also to autoimmune conditions and women. And it says a lot of things there that are true. Like you put yourself for your family, or certain beliefs you have, or the way you were educated, or society, or whatever you're living for others. I don't know. That has to do with autoimmune conditions too. It's a stress. It's emotional stress.
Yeah, stress, it affects the gut microbiome. It affects blood flow to the gut. It affects everything. And you have your cortisol and stress hormones and all these other things. So yeah, it's so important, because I heard Tro talk about it first, actually, talk about early childhood trauma. When I started looking into it, I was like, holy cow. If you have early childhood trauma and you don't deal with it, your life expectancy is 20 years shorter. And you go, smoking doesn't even do that, right? And you go, wow, how much of an effect does our emotional life have on us?
You think you don't have it, because I said I'm the first girl, first kid, first grandkid. I was really, I had a nice family. I cannot have a childhood trauma. And yes, I did have, like everybody has one. You don't have to pass something really bad for you to have a childhood trauma. Like my parents got divorced, or my mom died, or no. In my therapy, I find out how many childhood traumas I had, even though I thought I had a perfect childhood, Yeah,
because we don't want to think about those. We push them off to the subconscious, right? We're not even thinking about it. Your subconscious is telling you that, oh, something's wrong, something bad's going to happen. All these things that a lot of people live their life that way. And sometimes just going down to the beach and relaxing and calming that nervous, yoga, meditation. I don't care what you do, find your peace somewhere. Religion, right? It all has a physiologic effect on us.
And then afterwards, addressing that, and then after getting very like carnivore, and then taking out dairy, and then taking out veggies, and that it's a great too, because like everybody around me tell me how you not eat vegetables, and for me it was very difficult to stop eating them, because everybody, like my parents, my sisters, my friends, like everybody here, like just meat. Really? that's and they made you doubt. But well, here are my results. I'm really good. I'm doing good. So yeah.
Yeah, I think like a lot of things that go through my head. One is you were a mom of three, basically struggling, right? Multiple medications, multiple doctors, and you found your way to health. It's such a story of resilience, and I think that's most people who have medically unexplained symptoms, that's what they need. They just need resilience. If whether it's due to the gut microbiome, whether it was due to a dairy allergy, whether it was due to a leaky gut that happened to resolve, or who knows what the mechanism is, and we can debate it, whether the ketones are the anti-inflammatory component, or the the microbes, the microbiomes, the anti-inflammatory component. It doesn't matter. You found health. Hopefully science can catch up at some point and say, well, this is what it is that's going to give healing, because there's other moms of three out there that don't need to get 2 knee replacements, that don't need to get 15 different drugs and a life of steroids before the age of 40, which is it's, in my opinion, it's just not acceptable. So your story is powerful. And I think the biggest thing is just resilience, and be willing to take your health into your own hands. None of us, not Brian, not me, do we know everything. Of course, Brian thinks everything's the microbiome, but but it may not. Who knows? It could be true. It may not be true. And I hope it is, so we can heal
It's
more
at
people.
least a contributor. I can tell you that. I'll show you. I'll convince you because I have clinical data, like real stuff, like not half truths. But the thing is, when you see it and you go, wow, I'm seeing stuff that I can't explain. Like I'm trying to physiologically explain it. But when you heal someone's gut, they do better. And I would love to hear, Beatrice, has anything happened with your panic attacks, anxiety, those kind of things? Any changes in that with your lifestyle change?
They're gone. I'm much more relaxed. I used to have a lot of fear of heights. I even went down a plane. I remember I was like really in panic all the time. And no, I don't take anything for that. I'm fine. And I think the way I'm eating helps a lot in a lot of different ways. You start to prioritize. I started to prioritize my sleep. I like wine, but I don't drink that much anymore, or I have avoided. I relate to another kind of people. I'm interested in another kind of stuff. I'm a new person now, and that's like the part of the journey of healing. And I don't know what carnivore does, but it changes your mind. It makes you stronger. It makes you think clearer. And I also start to use my keto mojo, and I try to be in a moderate high ketosis, and that has been helping me a lot. And I take keto every day, and that's working a lot for me. And the only dairy I take is
you're taking exogenous ketones. Because if you don't on a carnivore diet, you're not going to be ketosis, right? If you're on a carnivore diet, unless you're adding in butter or, I don't even think you add in MC2. Like a lot of carnivores I know are like, if you check, they're not really in ketosis. They're like 0.6, 0.4 or something like that.
I don't know because I have been taking ketones for a long time, but since Boca that I found the Audacious Nutrition's ketones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I nonstop. But I was in ketosis, but because I had to moderate my protein and add a lot of fat, and I only eat fatty cuts, and I add a little butter. But now with these ketones, my ketosis is really high, and I want to be in high ketosis, and that's working for me a lot because I have not had inflammation since then, so I'm really good and I'm doing fine. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot to it, and I hate to batter the point, Tro, but ketones have an effect on the gut mucus layer and the good microbiome to raise them up. So adding something into a carnivore diet to be in ketosis, I think if you're having symptoms, if you're asymptomatic, then cool. But if you're having a lot of inflammation and pain, I think it's a reasonable thing because and you think about it, Tro, and I never thought about it till this week, but when people do the bulletproof coffee, they're adding butter, right? That adds butyrate to your gut lining too. Certain things like this, omega-3 is getting rid of the omega-6s, the oils and all this stuff we're kind of recommending. You go, it's not just the insulin effect. There's more to the story.
Yeah, absolutely. It's multifactorial, most likely, right? What an amazing story, Beatrice. And, I just wish you a lifetime of health, and Brian, it's these stories that I think gives people hope. And it's always great to come back to it. And I think the most uplifting thing is now you've healed and now you want to help heal. And I think that that's a huge thing. You take your trauma and turn it into a positive thing. You sublimate, you turn a positive impact on the world. So that's also, such a positive thing, Beatrice. And I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah, Beatrice. Oh, go. I'm sorry, Tor. Sorry, go.
No. Hopefully one day we'll get her on. If the toward health grows a little bit more, we'll hopefully need Beatrice. In the very near future, we'll see.
Yeah, I think it's so important. And Beatrice,
Brian, you can't have her.
You confounded us a little. You confounded us because I think a lot of your benefit was forgiveness, working on these childhood issues, and dietary change, and lifestyle, and so many things. But it's working, right? So I think it's a combination of all of those things that are critical.
Yeah, you have to see yourself as a whole. And that's why I started to prepare myself, because when I was in that black hole, that easily stayed in bed or easily stayed in my depression or easily arthritis could have won that battle with me. I want to be that person who tells you that you can do it, and that I passed that. I understand what you're feeling right now, and to give answers. And that's why I'm preparing myself. I'm doing the SMHP certification and with Nutrition Network. Every time I have a class or I see a conference in Metabolic Initiative, I see everything. I love to study all these things. I always say, yeah, that's it. Yeah. And like, for example, for cancer, I'm also like having a high ketosis is like a great barrier or a great tool for us. And I'm doing that too. And I'm preparing myself to help people. So when Toward Health goes bigger, I'll be there.
Yeah, awesome. No, yeah. So great. So happy for you. I'm so happy for you. Like having patients like you, it makes us like what we do is so valuable. Like it's amazing. And the sad part is you figure it out yourself. And I have to say it, Jason Fung, The Magic Pill. If you haven't watched it, everyone go watch it. So Jason back then has had so much impact on all of our guests. You know, it's amazing. But just to watch it and go, okay, let me put that into effect and see what happens. You have the abilities. A lot of people will watch something like that, go, yeah, I don't know if I believe it. I'm not going to try it, you know, but trying something and say, let's see. And, you know, what the effect that it had on the autistic child. My sister-in-law, I go, just watch that. Don't ask my opinion, watch the show. And then they changed her diet. Her autism got way better and she's able to interact, have emotions. And it's amazing to see that.
And you know what, when I went to Boca Raton, my life changed. I was like, where were you all the time? All these doctors, where were you? I was like really happy. All these doctors were addressing diseases with nutrition, and they were addressing people as a whole. That oncologist, Dr. Cho, Dr. Robert Su, all of them. They were like rock stars for me because we need those doctors. People need those doctors.
Yeah, and when you go back to your doctor now, the rheumatologist or the orthopedic doctor, what are they saying? What do they say when they see you now?
Back to them. I haven't seen them.
You haven't needed them anymore. Yeah, it's amazing.
It's
amazing.
Maybe that's why they don't say anything.
My new doctor is Ruben. He's a specialist in metabolic health. He's in all this kind of stuff. So I change from the. I don't see my other doctors. I see Ruben, and hopefully all these doctors I found in Boca. I told to Andrea Salcedo, if I need a gynecologist, I'll go with you.
Yeah, and we have listeners in Mexico. So can you tell them Dr. Ruben's last name? And so if they want to track him down, because he's doing good work.
Ancona.
And did you say you have his Instagram for people who may want to reach out?
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure which one is it, but his name is Ruben Ancona. And if you search it, you'll find him, Ruben. Yeah. And he has with Dr. Carb Addiction Doc. That's how I found him. And
maybe you could share your Instagram, right? You're active on Instagram.
Sure. My Instagram is Tichina, is TICHINA VH. People here in Mexico, they tell me they call me Tichina. Like for the Beatriz, they call us Tichi. That's why. And here in Mexico, I just have met 3 doctors, 3 metabolic health doctors, and I have a chat with them. They're great. The other one is Adrian Sotomota, that he did.
Adrian's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love Adrian. We absolutely love Adrian.
He's a great guy. Yeah, great guy. There's good people out there.
I just know 3, so we need much more here too.
We'll make them. We'll make them for sure. With your help, we'll make them. With Brian's help, God willing, we'll all keep getting better. Beatriz, thank you so much. We're coming on the top of the hour. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for taking your suffering and turning it into health coaching and helping others. And thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you, Dr. Joe. Thank you. I was really happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for bringing hope to people. So if someone's out there, if you're out there and you're listening and you're miserable and your joints are hurting and you're having panic attacks, anxiety, change something. You can't keep doing the same thing. So sometimes we don't know the mechanism. Tro and I may debate that, but just make yourself healthy. If you take out the processed food and the stress and get your life better, I mean, we can do miracles. Like, just get out of the way a little bit and let your body heal. Tro, you want to close this?
Just to help the patient of yours who wanted to know what the half truth was. The half truth was, saying that generally fiber is, going to be beneficial, right? So I think that's
We'll see, Tro.
that's
You're
the
gonna
half
sing
truth.
after the cruise.
I
You'll
have
sing a
fiber.
different
I
tune.
eat fiber, but
You'll
I
sing a
just don't
different
think-
tune. You'll sing a
Yeah.
different tune after the cruise. Everyone
I
mark
can't
this
wait.
episode.
I can't wait to see, man. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait. We'll see you in 1 week.
All right, man. Looking forward to it.
All right. All right. Bye, Beatrice.
Beatrice,
Bye,
thank you
Brian.
so much.
Thank you.
If you enjoy the show, please consider supporting us on Patreon by going to lowcarbmd.com.